Hi guys, I hope you all are doing great. Anamika here, and today we are going to talk about a topic which is very impactful, very powerful when it comes to building intimacy and romantic relationships. It is a topic which is often really misunderstood by most people. The name of the topic is the power of vulnerability. When most people hear this word, they feel very uncomfortable because they instantly get an image in their head that this is about being weak, this is about being over emotional, this is about crying your stuff over and over again, this is about oversharing and crying about things, cribbing about things, and so on and so forth. While that's certainly not the truth when it comes to vulnerability, vulnerability is pretty simple, and I feel that it should be something very common which all beings should have access to, should learn in a normal way. However, something this simple and common is usually not practiced and not seen amongst us because most of us continue to operate from our insecurities in life, and thus vulnerability is a big challenge for most people. But before we go there, let's first understand what being vulnerable really means. In simple terms, it means clearly expressing, consciously expressing how you feel and what you want. So, this is about choosing not to hide your emotions, not to hide your desires, and not worrying about how others might judge you or what they may think about you. So it is like a person who is open to being attacked by others, because there's always a possibility when you show people your truth, who you actually are, they may have a different opinion, they may think differently, they may feel differently, or they may even oppose you, they may not agree to you, or they may judge you. But being vulnerable means that you know all of these consequences and they may come up, and yet you go forward and show them who you truly are, what you really feel inside. So that's just the simple definition of what vulnerability means. There are many different reasons why people are afraid to be vulnerable, because they think they will be judged, they have their own fears, they have their own insecurities, they do not want to appear like they are weak or they are oversensitive in life. So basically, people who shut down their emotions in life and those who have a lot of judgments towards how they themselves feel and how their emotions are tend to be those people who don't want to be vulnerable, because they have a judgment towards being vulnerable already. And the other side of the coin is when people go to another extreme and they start crying and cribbing and playing a victim about things all the time without trying to take any ownership and responsibility, doing anything to solve their issues, resolve their issues, and bring a transformation, bring a change in their life. These people are not being vulnerable, but they're actually playing a victim. So none of those things play true when it comes to actual vulnerability. Apart from that, vulnerability is not about the other person. Vulnerability is about you, who you are, whether you are able to own who you are. So it's about completely owning your truth. So maybe when you need to set boundaries, when you need to clearly express to people what is it that you like, what is it that you don't like, what are your preferences, how do you wish to see things, how do you wish to do things, how do you think about something, how do you feel about something, your opinions, your values, your principles, being able to put forth all of these things to people as they are without trying to alter it, to match it up with other people, is a key part of being vulnerable. Now the beauty is that this vulnerability is the path to real deep human connection, because humans are attracted to each other's rough edges. So show your rough edges, stop trying to be perfect, expose who you truly are and share yourself without any inhibition, and take the rejections, take the lumps and move on, because you know that people who really love you for who you are actually gonna love you more because you have shown them the strength that you have by being vulnerable. So now, what are few of the ways through which you can be more vulnerable and develop this deep connection with your partner especially, and how to use this in everyday life? So whenever you make a mistake, whenever you suck at things, whenever you are not able to do things properly, rather than trying to mask it, find an excuse for it, find a reason for it, you go forward to the other person and share it with them that you actually are not good at this, and you will observe that they will end up respecting you more for it, because you're no longer trying to impress them, earn their love, earn their respect and all that. You have started respecting yourself. Just imagine somebody, maybe your partner, they come to you and they tell you that, oh my darling, I'm really not good at this job. You will feel bad about it, you will judge them, or you will actually feel good about them, that they showed so much of strength, so much of courage to actually come to you and admit that there's something that they're not good at, and they're not afraid that you will judge them. So you will not. You will see them the way they see themselves. So just like when you are being vulnerable, they will see you the way you see yourself. Then the second point to remember is to take responsibility. Taking ownership and responsibility in life is a crucial part of being vulnerable. So when you go forward and tell something that you really suck at something, that does not mean that the sentence goes like, I suck at something like this because you are this, you are that, because you did this, you did that, or somebody did this or somebody did that. No. That's where the sentence ends, that I really suck at this. But now, you are at a position of ownership and responsibility. Even if you suck at something, it's also your job to make sure that how are you going to take it forward. Now, in any way you're going to resolve this issue is okay. You can take help from people, you can learn this thing, or you can find out a method to get it done. Whatever way, any way is fine, right? But that is what being vulnerable is about. It does not mean that you go to people, you say, I suck at this because my parents did not send me to this school or this college, or they didn't have enough money, they didn't do this and that. Again, you have made it about the other person in the past. And when you do that, you have made it about blaming. You have not actually taken ownership and responsibility of your own shit. And that's not what being vulnerable means. It means that you are at a place where you are totally open to be attacked, but you respect yourself enough that you can share it, but you're also willing to do something about things in life. The reason taking responsibility of your issues is so powerful, because it puts you in the position of control, in the position of finding a solution. And when you continue to blame other people for where you are, you have given control to everybody around you except taking that control in your hands. And when you come to your power, take ownership and responsibility, that really shows how powerful you are. And it really shows that your choices, your decisions are not driven by external life forces to look, act, or maybe to feel in a certain way or to behave in a certain way, but rather you actually accept all of those things for what they are, and then you do something about those things. You set out to work with what you have. And that's the example of vulnerability, that I have a problem, I'm not perfect, and it's okay. But yet, I'm willing and I'm ready to deal with it, and I can deal with it, I will deal with it. This is the entire practical situation of what vulnerability looks like and how it comes with a lot of ownership and responsibility. Now, the third thing that comes to my mind, which is also very important, is really appreciating, admiring, respecting, acknowledging other people, and love them for who they are, and also expressing this to them very clearly. And all of this would require you to be truly vulnerable. As children, a lot of times we were told that these things are not okay to express, and if somebody else also expresses it to you, it's not very right to say and speak all of these things outright. And this is also not about buttering people, putting a lot of sweetness, unnecessary sweetness, or camouflaging it with sugary things and words. No. Genuinely being able to admire somebody and express it to them requires a lot of courage, where you simply genuinely tell people how you appreciate them, how you respect them, how you admire them. And now, the opposite of it is also a part of vulnerability, where you tell people that they are being insensitive or judgmental, or they are hurting you, or they are causing you any kind of pain. So a lot of times we are also told that we shouldn't express all of these things. As children, we are taught that we may end up hurting people if we tell them that they are hurting us. And you see the funny part of it, that it leads to people continuing to hurt us without even getting a chance to know that they are hurting us, not even getting any kind of feedback from us about how we feel. So this is another part of being vulnerable, that you just genuinely, in a straightforward fashion, in a very clear language, you go and you tell somebody that I am getting hurt, right? And of course, as usual, as I say, all of these things are gonna have consequences. They may or may not have consequences. However, you still do all of these things because you believe in what you value. So these are a few of the examples of vulnerability and why is it so important, right? So now, as we have understood that there is power in vulnerability, why vulnerability is important, and how it helps us develop human connection, today we will take out some time to be vulnerable with our partner. And we will not just understand these things theoretically, but let's also take up the task, which I'm going to mention after posting this video. And you continue to do that task and observe how this thing helps you develop this deep connection with your partner. So a person who can make themselves vulnerable, exposing their weaknesses without any regard to what others will think, how they will judge, is actually saying and expressing to the entire world, I don't care what you think of me, but this is who I am, this is my truth, and I choose to live my truth instead of anyone else. So it's kind of a backward law in action. In order to be more powerful, in order to be more resilient, in order to be more respected, it is like you have learned to respect the whole of you, including your flaws and including your weaknesses. So that was a little bit about vulnerability from my side, and please do today's exercise and observe mindfully the kind of impact it brings, the changes it brings in your relationship. Great. I'm looking forward to know more from you guys. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.